And welcome. We are live with episode number 10. Happy New Year, everybody, from the main pod. And we're excited today because this is episode number 10. I've been chasing this person for a little while, ever since the first episode. And here we are, episode number 10, 2024, January, first episode. With us today is broker owner of Mainstreet Realtors, Mr. Rick Diaz. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. So, so we did have him on once before, but we had some additional guests that time. So I wanted to get him kind of, one-on-one and, learn about Main Street a little bit more and learn about his journey as in the real estate business. Obviously, he's been successful. And so, yeah, I just kind of want to learn about that process because that's what I like to do. So I guess we can take it back. I know, your family was in the business, your dad, right? And so growing up, you know what? There's a question I want to ask that Patrick David asks on his podcast of certain guests. Who was Rick Diaz hanging out with? Who was he in high school?
Were
you in sports?
I was, yeah. I played football.
Okay.
I was a little bit of an outsider, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you, like me, skated, skateboard. Did you just do that, or that was after?
Always skated.
Always skated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Started skating when I was like 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What position did you play in football?
Strong safety.
Oh, so you were just knocking fools out.
Storming Rick Diaz.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. So, but let's, did you do anything before you were in real estate in general?
Are you talking about like jobs?
Jobs.
Man, I did everything. Yeah. My first job out of high school was Target, and then working, I was a pizza boy. I was a pool boy.
That
was interesting.
Was it?
No, not really.
No.
It was hot.
I've always wanted to be a pool guy.
Yeah,
so.
I decided it wasn't for me. Yeah, I did a few things, construction and working in warehouses and stuff.
I worked at Blockbuster Video. That was one of my first jobs. It was interesting.
That's fun. You get to take home some movies.
All kinds of movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
First, new releases. And then how old were you when you went into real estate and you started as an agent or lender?
I mean, so yeah, my dad, was a real estate broker. He opened up a Realty World back in 1988. I remember asking my dad, why did you decide on Realty World? He said, well, it's a nice franchise. I said, why not Century 21 or something? And he got upset and walked away.
Well, in your defense, I've never heard of Realty World. So.
And I think it was a little bit more affordable of a franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up, kind of working in my dad's office in high school. And by that time, my brother was already kind of working with my brother, and they were doing mortgages and stuff. So
did you ever have, because I know like a lot of, sometimes there's kids that, there's the family business, and then the kids are like, I'm doing anything but that. Did you have like that kind of relationship towards it, or?
No, I wasn't. No, I always had a feeling I was gonna end up in real estate.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, so yeah, I was working in a warehouse. I was like 21 years old, and one of my coworkers, like a big, shelf fell on top of him, and he almost got paralyzed, and it scared the hell out of me. And so I think that was pretty much my sign to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I went and started working with family business.
Yeah, that'll do it. I remember for me, I was a mechanic when I was young, 21 to whatever. And I just remember seeing the old men, they're just grumpy. They're moping around, the old mechanics, their elbows, their hands hurt. They're complaining every day. Their back's shot, bending over the hoods. I'm like, okay, I've got to do something different. So that was my calling to do that. So you got in the business around 21, 22?
No, 21, yeah.
Yeah. What'd you start doing?
I started making calls. By that time, we were just about to gear up. We were under my dad's mortgage company, West End Mortgage. But we were getting ready to kind of revamp, and I was helping my brother make calls. So I was
Calls
like,
for like a realtor calls or calls for
no,
mortgages?
it was a LO
Refis.
assistant. We were doing like streamlines and stuff like that. And so I started there. I eventually got my license and started originating loans. And that didn't last too long. We started growing pretty quickly, and my dad and my brother, they needed help. So I started kind of helping more on the back end. So I went over, started learning how to do escrows on Excel. And, I'd type up HUD-1 settlement statements and kind of just learned a lot of back end office stuff. So
And that would have been early 2000s, right?
it was early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably by like 2003 or so.
Okay. And that's right when things were ramping up.
Things were just starting to ramp up, after that .com bubble that had burst.
Yeah.
Rates were fairly decent, but kind of similar to where they are about right now. But yeah, things started taking off. We started doing a lot of mass mailing, kind of, how my brother Alex had kind of mentioned in the last podcast that we were on together. And we started hiring like crazy. So we kind of needed to fulfill, different positions. And I started helping out with HR, accounting, all kinds of stuff on the back end.
And then, things kind of go sideways in the market, and that's right about 2007, 2008. And then you open.
Yeah. So 2007, the implosion starts happening, right? Like we're all sitting in our call center and we're watching like the banks go out of business daily. And, we were trying to refi people, couldn't refi people. Their houses weren't appraising any longer. And so I started a department within my dad's company that we were starting to short sell people.
Okay.
Actually, we were loan modifying people, and the ones that we couldn't modify, then we moved over and we started doing short sales for them. So that's kind of how Mainstreet actually started, was just kind of, supporting people that were in distress, short sales. And, eventually, my ex-wife Ashley came over and worked, and we started doing bank REO sales.
Yeah, so she was telling us that that's how she got her start, like was just doing the short sales and the REOs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that was pretty much that whole 2007 through, I'd say, really pretty much almost like through 2011 was that distressed sale period. But yeah, we ended up getting more and more loan officers over from, the mortgage side that just were like, I want to start doing real estate sales.
Sort of business.
Yeah. So, a lot of them are still in the industry today.
Yeah. Okay. So it kind of just started out of necessity. Like that was like the next pivot that needed to happen to keep, that the business went, I know, like even for 2000, just my experience in the business for today's market, like 21, 22 or 2020, 2021, I got my license 2016 to 2019, it was expireds and FSBOs. And that was kind of like what I was going after. Is what I've been training to do and all that kind of stuff. And then 2020 hits and, we know what happened with that, but then the market shifts. It's on fire, red hot, and there is not very many expireds. There's this for sale by owners or selling on their own. So as an agent side of things, like that would have been the time to pivot out of necessity because the business that you're going after is not there.
Yeah, you're a little bit ahead though. I mean, we're talking in an era where, obviously we had experience doing loans, so it obviously favored us, being able to process these short sales and kind of push them through. So yeah, we started growing there. And then 2008 was when I officially incorporated and kind of spun off and got my broker's license. That's kind of when we broke away from statewide.
Mhm.
But that was a fun era, you know.
Well, I'm talking about the smart to pivot and to add that into your business versus like a lot of companies probably just, especially like on the lending side, like they just disappeared, like went out, right? But you guys pivoted in a way that feeded itself,
well,
the business.
Yeah, you just do it out of necessity, though.
Right. It was smart.
Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much a 10-year run that I got to work by my dad and my brother, and it was awesome. You know, those were great times.
And at that time, you guys were over by Victoria Gardens.
We were on top of the yard house.
On top of the yard house. Yeah. So
it was kind of infamous. Yeah.
And then when did you were there until when?
We were there until the end of 2009. And we ended up moving back here to this building. We had been here before prior. So we ended up coming back here in 2010. You know, we were like, hey, we had good times in that building. Let's, you know, it's available. Let's go back. So we came back here and been here since then.
Were you in the same office?
No, I've been all over these buildings. Yeah. But I've been here since 2010. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a long run. Okay, so now we're because I think the short sales and all that stuff went until when, like that, where it was heavy.
I would say through 2011. So that's right around when Gio, my partner, ended up coming in and joining Mainstreet, and so you know, we decided to partner up. And in 2012 is kind of when we decided to shift gears. So that's kind of when we decided, hey, you know what, let's really start focusing on that standard sale market. And, you know, what can we do to stand out? So we started working on our marketing. That's kind of what we've been doing since.
You guys have been partners for a long time. How did that come about?
Well, I recruited Gio first. I got him over here. He had a team, and he was working over at Keller Williams. And there was an opportunity to bring him over. So he came over, and then, you know, around that time, pretty much the number of agents that he had on his team were pretty much about the same number of agents that I had in the brokerage. So
it's a big team.
Yeah, we kind of decided, you know, to kind of partner up at that time. It made sense, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since then.
Yeah. I mean, from the outside looking in, you know, I came in 2018, I think. And, you know, one of the things that the reason I was here is because you guys, you know, what you guys offered, the tech, I guess you could say, and the marketing and all that kind of stuff. But you guys as partners individually, like, I read that book, Rocket Fuel, and it talks about, to me, looking at you guys, it's a good match, because he has strengths and things that he does that he's good at, and things that you do that are good, that you're good at. And that's what I see.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we both recognized that early, that, you know, we each had traits that the other didn't have. And, you know, I mean, he was just one of those people. From the first time I met him, I knew this guy's a really bright individual, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's been a good outside looking in, good partnership. I'm sure it hasn't been all roses, but, you know, it's to be this long in business together with a partner, with somebody, it says a lot about both of you guys. And so you guys at that point started working on the marketing and focusing forward on what was next.
Yeah, we decided to start doing like the professional photography pretty early on, and then we jumped right into video, you know, and you know, quickly we realized that, hey, you know what, we should have these people on staff. And so we started building out from there. And, you know, him and I were playing around with a lot of tech. I mean, we still do.
Mhm.
We're always trying out new different systems and tech and stuff. But those were fun times when we were really kind of really hands on trying out new stuff.
Yeah. You guys have always, since I've been here, always trying new stuff, like looking into and trying new stuff and bringing, value to the agents to help us, be more successful and do the things that we need to do without doing them.
Yeah, I think that's always kind of been part of, a big part of our value proposition is that we'll do that stuff. We do that stuff to try to kind of thin out and find, what works best.
hmm
So, yeah.
And then that brings us to today, pretty much. I mean, it's been pretty well. I know in 2020, that was a difficult, scary, unknowing time when that first happened. I remember you acted like really fast. You were fast to adapt and figure things out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people went and kind of they put their head under a rock, and I feel like we kind of leaned in really hard, um, and we jumped on it. We were holding the virtual meetings and just doing what it took. So, and then we had some great years there.
Mm-hmm.
Things took off.
Yeah.
Looking back, man, it's just crazy how things just skyrocketed after that.
It's unfathomable, almost like I don't even, and it's come to the point where I remember because I was in the business 2016, and then by the time 2018 came around, 2019, I was talking to clients, and they're just like, "Hey, this market's going to crash. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to wait."
I've been hearing that since 2013.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's wild. And now here we are. Prices pretty much have, in October they reached another all-time high for their country. Interest rates were at they rose faster than they have any time in history, and prices are still holding steady, and so it's interesting to see what's going to happen because I think we talked about it, but
Yeah.
I mean, how can people afford it long term in our country? Like it's tough.
More people in a household.
Yeah, it's what it's going to be.
I mean, I keep saying it. We're going to continue to have an inventory problem. We need to start building America, and until that gets resolved, we're going to continue to we're going to have these inflated prices.
Yeah, and the hard part with the building, in my mind, and maybe you can tell me if I'm missing something, but with the economy itself being so volatile, builders, I would think, would be hesitant to even build at a pace that would sustain the need for housing, to get us back up to a point where we could see some relief in pricing and things like that. Like I see that the way that the economy is and what the government's done, like that they're even going to be holding back from what they would be possible for them to do.
Yeah, it's definitely not going in the right direction. It hasn't been. Starts with the prices of fuel and everything else. Materials, everything's expensive these days.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you think in 2024 we'll see prices stay the same or go up a little bit, or
I
go
don't
down?
think so. I know that there's a lot of experts that are saying that they should be relatively flat, but if we really see rates to continue to improve, I don't see why we're not going to get a little bit of a surge again.
Nationwide or in California?
Well, I mean, I tend to focus a little bit more here in Southern California, but I think nationwide might be better than expected.
I think so. I would agree. I would concur. If you could go back and tell yourself something that knowing what you know now, going back to little Rick, getting into the business, what would you tell him?
Don't do it. No. um, you know, Julian, I feel like since I experienced the whole, roller coaster of like the 2006 era, um, I ended up starting a business, after that. So I had already kind of learned my lessons. You start small, man,
Hmm.
and so I don't think that we've really done, I think that we pretty much kind of stuck with that and have always tried to implement things kind of slowly. Yeah.
I think that,
Maybe sometimes you think, maybe you should have gone faster, but
yeah, there's that, but there's a lot of ones that did that. And like you said, they grow too fast
Well,
and don't react fast
well,
enough. And then you crash.
yeah, it's all about timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, yeah. Do you, Main Street's been successful in my eyes. What do you think, like in today's landscape, is it better to, get your broker's license and go and start a brokerage, or make it grow a team?
I don't think that's really kind of been the trend lately. Obviously there's a lot of, really successful teams that have been growing. That's probably the way to go. Because now you have these publicly traded companies that are, licensed nationally and stuff. So, it can make your growth, exponential.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of depends, it kind of depends how you want to run your ship, though.
What's
Because
some of
if
the,
you like true independence, then you do it on your own. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I've always liked.
so that's the main difference in essentially is just running your own ship. You don't have to answer to whatever their corporate standards and all that kind of stuff is, right?
And regardless what anyone says, you're always gonna have to answer
To someone.
Yeah.
What would you say would be the biggest benefit of having your own brokerage, and then the biggest benefit of having a
I
team?
don't know. I mean, you can move fast each way, different way. But obviously when it's your own, sometimes you could steer that ship a little bit quicker and pivot quickly. That's what we've always felt about being independent.
Yeah, because I know, like on the Ferry coaching platform, like they're always pushing team.
Yeah.
Team. What are your thoughts?
There's definitely benefits to it, liability is great. I mean, not having that on top of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But those are just things that you learn to navigate through.
Yeah. There's another thing that obviously you've been a great broker and successful with that, but you're a business person, and you also have another company. That's an escrow company, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we're always looking to, I consider myself someone who's first and foremost is an entrepreneur. And so, yeah, I mean, we're rolling out Union Escrow this month. We're excited to announce that we have a fully independent escrow company.
Nice.
And so, yeah, we're looking forward to the opportunities that's going to bring.
Yeah, I saw, and the reason I know is because I saw my the Instagram. They followed me, so
Oh yeah,
I was like, oh
yeah, yeah,
okay.
it's rolling out.
So Union Escrow, fully independent. Tell me about that, because before we had a broker owned one, right?
Yeah, it was here, broker owned.
Yeah.
Well, we're just looking to expand the footprint and kind of really be able to service, more of the general public.
Yeah.
Because obviously with a broker owned escrow, you got to turn away a lot of business. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Which I didn't understand. I didn't know. So I learned something. That's why I'm asking that.
Yeah, with a broker owned escrow, you have to be a part of the transaction, right? You either have to be the listing agent or the listing broker or the selling office.
Yeah.
Or be doing a refinance.
Okay.
So.
And so now,
we can take a walk in.
Yeah. So if you agents are listening to this and you want a good escrow company, Union Escrow, I know Rick doesn't like to advertise it here, but definitely hit them up. And they are in Upland.
They're in downtown Upland.
Yeah. Union Escrow.
Yeah. Heidi and Nadine are great. They both have over 20 years of experience each.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're rocking and rolling.
That's fantastic. And I guess moving forward, do we have any dreams or aspirations for Main Street? Like the vision for the future?
I mean, I think the vision is always to kind of always be evolving. You know, we're always going to be looking to see how we can service our clients better. So we're going to be rolling out some new features here in the coming months and stuff that we're excited to announce. And yeah, you know, it's always just trying to get better at what we do.
That you are. And I think, is there anything else you need that you have anything to talk about? Nothing? We're good? Covered it all?
How about sports? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Chargers?
I don't,
Rams?
I don't follow sports at all. No.
Skate parks? Is there any good skate parks? Where do you like to skate?
I just went to 2 amazing ones. So La Quinta and Lake Havasu. Those are really great parks, actually. But yeah.
Which one was better?
Ooh, tough. Probably La Quinta, because it's got the old combi replica, which was here in Upland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
The original pool. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, because Havasu's, you can see the lake though, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So the view's cool there.
Yeah.
But the park's probably skatable. Like it has some.
It's a really nice park though.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think we did pretty good. If you guys like this, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. And you guys can, I forgot to say this in the beginning, if you're still listening or you're at this point of the podcast, you guys can ask questions live. You can ask the question, we'll put it up on the screen, and we'll ask our guest live. So if that's ever like right now, there's nobody watching, but if but you can ask live when you watch. So we can see the questions, and yeah, so it makes it a little bit more interactive. So, but appreciate you guys. If you're still here, we'll be back next Thursday. 2 o'clock is the goal. And yeah, drop a comment, like, follow, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.